Okay, you can go.
Hey guys, today's episode is sponsored again by Squad QL. Squad QL, the roster management assistant to help you win your league this season. Squad QL gives you an advantage by directly connecting to any league on Yahoo, ESPN, or CBS. Pulls in your roster, league settings, and your scoring system. More questions?
People still use CBS?
I guess some people.
Oh, okay.
Okay. It gives you recommendations on waiver moves, helps you set your starting lineup, and even helps you win some of those trades you need to help win a championship this season. Head over to squadql.com to download the all-in-one fantasy football manager app. And if you play DFS, like Hopper, who needs some help, head over to rotoql.com, the leading daily fantasy lineup optimizer trusted by 100,000 DF players worldwide. Let's enter the lounge. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. Apparently, Hopper's doing something here.
Did you just say welcome to the lounge right before we kicked off the music?
Yeah.
Does that mean we're skipping intros and beer fuel?
This is a very loud lounge right now.
Just going straight into the...
It's a metal lounge.
It's a metal lounge.
No.
All right, welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, guys. I'm Nick Sparts, joined as always by Dan Thury.
At Thury BFF. What's up, guys?
And Christopher Hopper.
Hello.
At Hop BFF with 2 P's.
Oh, yeah, that. At Hot BFF with 2 P's.
All right. It is a Wednesday, which means it is a lounge episode, hence the intro where I said, well, let's head to the lounge. We're also going to do some other stuff this episode. We're going to go ahead and preview Thursday night, recap what happened Monday, give you our starts and sits for the week. And in today's lounge episode, we're going to tell you some early season buy and sell candidates.
We're drinking beer, too.
We also are drinking some beer. Do you want to not do the rest of the social media shout out, or are you just going to go straight to that?
No, go ahead and do the social media shout out. I wasn't bridging. I was waiting for you to continue.
All right. You can follow us on Twitter, Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, Beer Fueled FF. It is Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped to locate us there. Check out our YouTube channel, Beer Fueled Fantasy Football, where our subscriber count keeps going up, which is awesome. Please join us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 in the morning Central Time. We'll go ahead and run over everything that's broken between Friday night when we record and Sunday morning. Talk about some inactives and answer all your start-sit questions. So hit that for us. If you want to try to support the show, please like and comment on all of our videos, drop reviews on iTunes, or if you feel like really helping out, DM BeerFueledFF on Twitter or email beerfueledfantasy@gmail.com to either reach out about merchandise, which I can get sent to you guys, or hit us up on our Patreon.
Or send free stuff.
Or send free stuff, too, which somebody
like
is doing.
Yes.
We have a guest beer that'll be arriving shortly.
Nice.
Really?
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yep.
Beer Fuel.
I don't know if you wanted that or not. I was just doing it anyway.
No, that was about right. And as a note, if anyone's out there, we got somebody who tweeted at us this day. He's like, you guys need more beer from Colorado. We only have a few options from Colorado in the Springfield area that I can get my hands on. I'm not driving 14 hours just to go get some microbrew stuff. So if you want me to review it, send it to me.
Yeah, we would love to review things from a larger area. And every time we travel, I think we try to bring back 2 or 3 different things from whatever region we go to feature on the show, but that requires us actually going places and not just being in Springfield. So kind of distribution stuff and things.
And as soon as anything gets distributed to the area and we spot them, we generally try to grab them and get them on here ASAP.
I say if someone sends us some beer, maybe we throw them a shirt or something.
Well, there are some online places too where you can order things from different areas that Illinois lets you ship in, but it costs more.
Yeah, we're on a shoestring budget here. We're already eating into our own margins of nothing. So
disregard my last comments.
Hey, we're throwing money into the pit to try to get back to ground level right now.
Hey, shout out Squad QL.
Yeah, shout out Squad QL for getting us closer to even.
Anyway,
yay.
What do we got today, Nick?
On today's episode, we've got Main Street 4204s. We've had them on a couple times here. Oktoberfest. It is a pale lager that they produced for the Oktoberfest season.
So we haven't had them on since last November, though, I don't think.
It's been a while. This is the third time, I believe. We had Zombie, and I forget what the other one was. We've had one of their Jewels on, too.
Jewel.
It's 4 times.
We've had
the blonde.
Did we have the pecan on, too?
Yes, we've had the pecan.
So we've had the Zombie, the pecan, the Jewel, and this is 5, because we had the off-duty also, because that's the one they threw us to put on.
Also had the off-duty. So, yeah, we're up to 5. I don't know why we're doing this off memory. I have a document with literally all this written down, but we like to roll that way sometimes.
But there haven't been any since, I think, November.
No, the Jewel we had in the spring.
Okay.
All right.
Maybe I'll just look this up.
Comes in at 5.5% alcohol. 4204 usually is a little lower on the alcohol percent than a lot of other breweries. So if you're looking for more session type beers, they're a good option for that. We'll give you a full review once we get through the lounge segment.
Are we doing lounge? No news?
News first.
Okay. It's like there's a document.
There is. All right, for news segment. Bengals decided to waive Trey Carson after he hurt his hamstring in Monday's practice, and they brought on running back Thomas Rawls of former Seahawks and Jets fame.
What does dead man ever die?
Yep.
Yeah, Mark Walton's ahead of him on the depth chart, though.
I would assume
He's there
so,
for.
yes.
He's a camp body.
He's there for moral support.
They signed him today. They're playing tomorrow. I would assume, yes, that Mark Walton is ahead of him on the depth
I would
chart.
hope so.
I mean, how hard is it to say, here, run with this? You can get him involved a little bit.
Ask Jeremy McNichols.
That's neither here nor
He
there.
doesn't play tomorrow. They play Sunday. The
Oh, I'm
Browns
sorry. I
play
was thinking
Thursday.
of the Browns. Never mind. They play Sunday.
Browns, Bengals, same thing.
You say-
Same state. And every
Same color.
Every Bengals and Browns fan is pissed. Eagles signed running back Josh Adams off their practice squad.
Good.
So
Depth.
this is a possible Ajayi issue.
This is bad news for Ajayi. Well, in Sproles, I think it's still not practicing
I
either.
think
so.
they've basically hinted that Sproles is for sure out this week, and Ajayi is a maybe.
Right. Adams is another bigger between the tackles back who I don't know that he'll mix in a whole lot. He flashed a little bit in training camp. We kind of liked him. But no, we didn't really like his tape.
No, we didn't like his tape. He looked better in training.
He looked better in
preseason.
training camp.
It was kind of
so-
like Clement all
It's
over
like Corey
again.
Clement. Yeah, I was
Yes.
just about to say that.
So we'll see what he does.
All right. News that's going to make Hopper way too happy about an injury. The Redskins placed running back Rob Kelly on injured reserve with a toe injury.
Samaje Perine, he lives. That's Adrian Peterson's cuff.
He will no longer be in healthy scratch week to week.
No, he won't be. He should have probably. It's not going to be fantasy relevant. It might be 4 to 5 touches as a change of pace behind Peterson as a runner when Thompson isn't catching 14 passes.
Which I don't know if that's going to stop.
I don't think it is.
Probably
So,
not.
It's not relevant unless Peterson gets hurt.
Yep.
Or, well, maybe I guess if Thompson gets hurt too, then it's relevant because Samaje Perine does have okay hands. Better than Peterson's.
All right. Deciding he'd have enough time up in New England, he's returning to Pennsylvania, and Eagles re-signed wide receiver Jordan Matthews.
Yay. Depth.
What does Dead Man Ever Die?
Apparently, the quote was, "I was so bored up in Buffalo that I became a father because there was nothing else to do."
Isn't that why we drink?
Wow. Well, you're a professional athlete. You can't really do that.
I suppose. Well,
Cool. I don't know that it's fantasy relevant right out the gate. He does know the offense, but it really depends on Jeffrey if he's worth a flyer this week or not.
I doubt it's worth a flyer today, but possibly in a couple
Watch
weeks if
list.
Jeffrey's still slow to come around.
Yeah.
I like him more than Aiken.
It's a watch because, we talk, and we've talked about it with Josh Gordon, I think on Monday, to where wide receivers switching teams middle of the year, not normally good, but Matthews came from Philly at the same offense.
And Coach Sean McVay said kicker Greg Zuerlein with his groin injury will be out at least a few weeks. Unless you have an IR slot, he is droppable because it's a kicker.
Yep. Sam Thicken, his
you
replacement.
shouldn't waste an IR slot on a kicker.
If you have an open IR slot,
If you have an open IR slot, why not?
Okay.
if somebody else goes on injury afterward, then you drop him and put that person in your IR slot.
Yeah, but if you've got an open IR slot, don't drop a top 2 kicker.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you need the IR slot, then absolutely drop a top 2 kicker.
All right, that's all we got for news. And now Hopper is going to recap what happened on Monday night.
Hey, I am.
Hey, he is.
Hey, I am.
What the hell happened?
It's like I conduct this train and wrote this up and know what's going to happen. So
It's like there's a script.
I read it, but I'm using my own notes because I didn't want to gunk yours up with all my notes on, like starts and sits and stuff later on. So I don't have the script in front of me, so I didn't know that was the last news item.
all right. For the Monday night recap, Bears win this one 24-17. The Chicago Khalil Max look quite excellent on the defensive side of the football. Offense is some questions.
Except Danny Trevathan's the player of the week, and Prince Mukamara had the big play, but Khalil Mack making stuff happen. Starting with the Bears, Trubisky 25 of 34 for 200, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Better than last week. He still looks to be lost or not fully integrated into this offense yet. Not grasping it. Still looks a little hesitant to go downfield with the football. When he does decide to throw downfield, you know 9 times out of 10, it's fine. One of those interceptions was, again, I think a tipped ball at the line. The other one was a bad throw.
So just something I'm noticing, he looks awesome during the scripted sequence for the first drive, and then it starts to get a little iffy after that.
It's a confidence thing, I think, and I think that gets better as the season goes on, but that's why you don't roster him in anything other than Dynasty right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I guess Superflex is a backup, maybe. Jordan Howard, 4 targets for 3 receptions. He had 14 carries for a putrid 35 yards. Nagy admitted he needs to be used more. Any concerns about Howard going forward? I mean, the touch volume wasn't bad. It was a weird game script.
I will get to what my feelings on Howard in a later segment.
Okay. Dan?
He's fine.
Okay. Tariq Cohen, 4 carries, 1 target. Hasn't done much yet this year. Drop him, or is he a hold until his offense starts to mesh? Because he's on the field in split back sets and stuff like that. He's just not really getting. He's a
light hold, as in if you see something that's significantly shining on the waiver wire, I wouldn't hate dropping.
There's a lot of Gabriel that we thought would be Cohen.
Yep.
Well, Gabriel's not really getting it done from an efficiency standpoint, though, either. So who knows if that starts to flip. So it's very much a watch for this offense, in my opinion.
Cohen's awesome in return yard leagues because he looks great doing that, but.
Yeah, it's just most of the bubble screens are going to Gabriel.
Yep.
So I think they need to get Cohen a little bit more involved there. Allen Robinson dominated targets. He had 14 of them, catching 10 for 83 yards. He's going to be kind of that mid to high wide receiver 2, where they're not really throwing downfield a lot, but he's getting enough volume to make up for that.
He is leading the NFL right now in total air yard percentages right on his team. So the amount of air yards thrown, he's got the largest chunk of any single player.
More on him later.
That'll get better as it goes on. But right now, he's still a solid wide receiver 2 for volume alone. Trey Burton, 4 targets, 20 yards, and a touchdown. He continues to remain a little bit disappointing for anybody where he drafted him. I think he's a lot like Tariq Cohen in this, to where as the offense starts to mesh, though, it'll get better. It's not that he's not getting open; it's that Trubisky's afraid to throw it to him.
So he's at 10 targets through 2 games, which for a tight end is fine. That puts him on pace for 80. I think he's kind of about where I expected him to be, where he's kind of one of the painful tight end pluses, where he's probably going to give you a better, an okay week more often than he gives you a dud.
Well,
right.
Like, if you don't have a top 3 tight end, this is kind of what you're going to end up getting in.
Hopefully,
this is where you're at.
Yeah, this is kind of where you're at right now.
You're hoping for 30 to 50 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
And
some receptions.
When you get that, you take it to the bank.
Yeah.
And then the defense is very much a weekly start. They absolutely own Seattle, whose offensive line is terrible with no Doug Baldwin. The running game couldn't do anything. They looked really strong for a second week with a full diet of Khalil Mack and Roquan Smith.
And they get Arizona in week 3.
Which is just I think they're my defense 2.
They're top 3, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, I think they were definitely top 3.
Minnesota,
I think they're my second one,
is the other one I like.
Yeah, that was the only one I couldn't jump over. The line on the Vikings game, and by the way, is 17 points. That's insane for an NFL game.
I would. A lot of sitting potentially in that game. Second half.
Yep, definitely. And then as for the Seahawks, Wilson saved his day in garbage time. He had a 22 of 36, 226 and 2. About 75 of that, and the second touchdown came in garbage time. He took 6 sacks overall with that offensive line. Bears defense is really good. I'm not necessarily concerned. I mean, elite level. They're number 1 in the NFL right now. I'm not necessarily concerned about Wilson week in, week out per se, but if he runs into good defenses like this, you're going to have to consider another option.
Yeah, he's
at least until Baldwin's back or the running game gets going.
With no Baldwin in the offensive line looking so terrible, I would not hate sitting Wilson in some bad
matchups.
I
mean, like if there's guys out there that you want to flex in, or not flex, that you want to stream over him in good matchups, I'm more concerned. I'm not saying concerned. I think he'll get adjusted to this offensive line. You got to see that little bit in the second half when he had to get shit going.
And Wilson's had kind of the slow start thing before. Like that's not
that's not new.
He tends to be a second half guy.
Yeah.
Chris Carson, Rashad Penny were more or less useless. Penny was 10 for 30, a paltry 3 yards a carry.
And was not seen in the second half.
That was Carson.
That was Carson.
That was Carson.
Sorry,
It wasn't.
Carson.
Carson was 6 of 24, not seen in the second half because he was allegedly gassed from special teams because Pete Carroll hasn't figured out don't use your best running back on special teams.
But this,
Yeah.
they're not even sure if this is really that true because they didn't. It's been really weird how this whole thing's been handled with
Carson and Penny?
Yeah,
It's like
with
they're-
Pete Carroll, it seems really wish-washy on it.
Well, I think he's trying to justify the first round pick on Penny. And that's hard to justify when you're getting no productivity out of him.
Yeah.
And when Chris Carson's looked so well, so they're trying to mix him in and, force this split back thing to happen. But Carson's been the more efficient of the two. You're better to stick with him. I agree with you. I think it's wish-washy because I don't see an NFL player getting gassed from playing special teams and taking carries. That's not an abnormal thing.
And why are you running your RB1 on special teams like that?
Yeah.
There's some things. This is all
things that don't
fucking
make
weird.
sense.
Yeah, this is weird to me.
On to the wide receivers, though. Enough about the running backs. It's just gross all around there. Tyler Lockett, 5 of 7 for 60 and a touchdown. Marshall, 4 of 6 for 44. Both still should be held as rotational pieces, in my opinion. Lockett, a little bit of an edge because he's a deep threat, which is kind of how he caught that touchdown.
Both of his scores have been bombs.
Yeah, both of his scores have been bombs. Marshall was targeted more in the Doug Baldwin type of mid intermediate range.
I mean, he was effectively a tight end that was playing outside. He was basically just moving the sticks.
It's normally what he does at this point in his career. So, and then Disley, people are going to freak out about this, but 42 and a touchdown on 5 targets. That was almost exclusively garbage time. It was Vinette that was running up until that point.
He was at 1 catch for 4 yards, I believe, before that last drive.
But
But in terms of, for those out there looking at snap counts, Disley massively outsnapped the Vinette this week.
Disley's also the blocking tight end, so
Yeah.
he's out.
He's out there getting. I'm not saying you need to run out there and start either of them, but
you
don't.
You don't.
I'm just
not when he did that in garbage time. That's all I got. The defense had no teeth at all, and until they get both of those linebackers back, at least they're not even in consideration.
Yeah, they were better run defense than I was expecting, but I mean, still, this is not an explosive Chicago offense, and they still gave up a decent number of points.
Well, and the Bears didn't exactly try to run it down their throat either.
No, it was pretty
14 to what was it, 15 touches is not.
Yeah, 14 for Howard and 1 for Cohen.
Yeah, it's not emphasis on the running game.
All right. That all we have on that game?
That's all I got on that one. It was glorious.
All right. Now let's actually enter the lounge.
I will one day remember where I put this drop. There it is. I haven't used it enough. It's like in a really obscure spot.
Once a week.
We use it once a week.
It's week 2.
I know.
Or it's week 3.
Exactly.
But we didn't use it in week 1.
Yeah, we did.
No, we did.
Oh.
We had certain sits in week 1.
No, it starts sits. It doesn't use the lounge drop.
No, we did have a lounge segment for this is the 3rd lounge segment.
Okay, whatever. By week 6, I'll get it.
All right, so we're going to talk some guys, early season buys and sells. So after 2 weeks, guys whose value has changed enough that we think they're either guys you want to buy or guys we possibly want to pull the ripcord on and get out from under. Kicking it off with buys. Dan, you got a guy who went almost in the first round who you think is a tasty buy right now.
I mean, he's had a slow start to this season. And you have people who start 0-2 who start to freak out. Or 1-1, maybe not scoring a lot of points, got lucky. The first one's Dalvin Cook. Yes, he was a back-end first-round, high second-round pick. But he's had a slow start to the season, battling a hamstring injury, though it was mostly cramps in week 2. The running game for him hasn't really gotten going. Yes, it's the passing game where his floor really connects and where Cousins kind of gives him that platform, which is why if the owner out there is concerned about him, why you should go out there and try to kick the tires on him. Also, Latavius Murray isn't a threat to this point. 68% opportunity share for Cook on top of a 76.1 snap count through these first 2 games, and that's while missing some time at the end of the week 2 game.
And I believe they should be getting their starting center back this week.
Yep. And week 3 is a good week for him. Week 4 and 5 against the Rams and Eagles on paper are tough, but he has favorable matchups through the rest of this season. They only play the Bears once in fantasy season.
Ooh,
so they get in week 17. Nice. They play in week 11 on the road, which looks to be his only terrible matchup.
That does help.
Good schedule is always something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
All right, Hopper, you a guy who is taken within probably one pick of Dan's guy. You've got Kareem Hunt.
I do. People are down on Hunt. I've seen it all over Twitter, and I'm not really sure why. People are trying to move him. The passing game's dominated the first 2 weeks, but Hunt's still seeing 35 touches through that time frame with a touchdown. He's not the running back one or the back end one people have hoped for. The volume's kind of lacking a little bit, but that's because the passing game has been so efficient. You got to expect that that's going to at some point course correct. And if they run into a matchup where they can't pass, then they're going to lean on Kareem Hunt. And until then, he's still giving you RB2 numbers. So this is a know your league kind of play. But if somebody took Hunt as their RB1, they're likely disappointed. But if you're looking for some help behind your RB1 as a potential two, it's worth the buy.
Maybe you're a bell owner who has no RB1.
Yep. Yep.
There you go.
So, I mean, he's getting the volume. It's not like in the middle of last season where he's forgotten about. The efficiency hasn't been terrible. He's just not getting leaned on because they don't have to. But there will be a couple times this year where they do have to. So there's an RB2 with RB1 upside.
All right. I'm going to go with the players a little bit lower for my first guy, but not by much. Kind of preseason darling, Royce Freeman. At this point, every Royce Freeman owner out there has a just absolute massive flaming hatred for Philip Lindsay after he's come in and seemingly stolen this job.
I mean, I don't, but
so Freeman's stock has plummeted. He's running back 32 through 2 weeks, and that's including a touchdown he got in week 2. I still do like how he profiles long term. He is going to be the goal line back. He is actually a pretty decent pass catcher, so he should still get some work in the passing game as this offense kind of figures itself out. It was real incompetent in week 2, besides making a furious comeback there to come back and win the game. But early on, that first half for Denver was atrocious. I think this team is going to get better and kind of more cohesive an offensive unit. They are still going to go with more of a hot hand. If the Freeman owner is panicking and starting to value him as a RB3 or lower, I do still like him as a buy.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
All right. Who do you guys have for your second buy? Dan, kick us off.
I have Tevin Coleman. In the weeks that Freeman has missed time and Coleman has obviously been the lead back, this has happened 4 times in 3 seasons, 2.5, I guess. He averages 20 touches a game, 98 total yards, and 3 touchdowns in those 4 games. In the 4 games last season that Coleman has averaged, or he saw 15 or more touches, he averaged 87 total yards, and he had 4 total touchdowns in those 4 games. Basically what I'm getting to is that when Freeman's out and Coleman's the lead back, he's an RB1. RB2, high RB2, with RB1 upside. Freeman's injury is the same injury that he had last season. It's the same MCL, PCL that he re-aggravated. And he looks like he's going to miss at least 2 more weeks. On top of all the re-injury, I saw on Twitter that this injury is known to have a high risk of re-injuring again, as we just saw now. So Freeman could be in and out of these lineups, could be stressed, could not see a lot of playing time while Coleman gets to eat up these touches. I like Edo Smith as well. But we saw in this offense that the lead back tends to get some good upside.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hopper, you went with a pass catcher for your second choice?
I did. It's Larry Fitzgerald. He's got a bad offense. Old age is going to sour some people. He's not a sexy piece anymore. He is the type of piece that does win you championships, though. He had 10 targets for 76 yards in week 1. He had 5 in week 2, and he went off the field with 4 minutes left in the second quarter. He's getting volume because nobody else has stepped up as another wide receiver on this team. They're not using David Johnson. The offense is putrid. So he's going to, in any type of PPR league, and even to a degree in some standard leagues, but mostly in half PPR, full PPR, that's a weekly guy you can run out there as a wide receiver too, and a solid wide receiver too, because of the volume that he's going to get. The hamstring injury is minor. They held him out as a precaution last week because they were getting absolutely just steamrolled. So he's not expected to miss time from that. He's a guy that you can probably always buy at a reasonable price that's going to give you a nice floor piece to plug in at wide receiver.
Yep, and after leaving last week's game, the owner might be way down on him. You might be able to get him as your wide receiver 3, which would be excellent.
Yep. Yes, sir.
All right, I mentioned I was going to talk about him later. My second buy is Jordan Howard. He's currently sitting at running back 25 through 2 games, so that would make him a high running back 3, but that's with no touchdowns, and he is still putting up 18 touches a game through 2 games. He is more involved in the passing game than he's ever been in his previous 2 seasons as well, seeing nine catches through his first 2 games. So I like the floor there, and the touchdowns are going to come. He has 0 so far, and that's really what's holding him down versus the guys that are in front of him. So he's definitely a target player. He's had a mediocre first 2 weeks, but he's got some decent matchups coming up. And on top of it, I think the team is going to finally get some goal line work for him where he can punch in a couple touchdowns for you.
I think so too. I hope so.
Yeah.
All right, Dan, you're sticking with the Bears for your bye call.
And we're going to talk about him later. Allen Robinson. So the Bears are starting to move Robinson into the slot, which is, I think, fantastic. Right now, per player profiler, 44% of his routes have been out of the snap. Monday night, his 14 targets, 9 of them came from him in the slot. Even with his team not wanting to push the ball downfield, Matt Nagy knows that he needs to get his best receiver the football as much as possible. And as Nick said earlier, he leads all receivers with the dominating of the air yards for his team. So once his team decides to start moving the football or start pushing it downfield, Robinson's going to get the benefit of that. He's going to give you great floor almost every single week, and as his offense goes, he goes.
All right, and then Hopper, for your last buy, you went with less of a buy low and more of a buy him before everyone knows his name.
That's exactly what I did. It's a buy him before people start talking about him. That's John Brown. He's got 14 targets and 2 touchdowns through week 2. Nobody is talking about this guy. He's had no reports of injury or recovery issues, which was always the problem with him in Arizona. I don't know if the altitude change is helping. Could be. No, it's a legit thing.
No. I'm just laughing at Nick's response to that.
As far as the injury, that is a legitimate thing with sickle cell. So
Yeah.
Crabtree continues to be the higher valued wide receiver, but they've been pretty much equal in targets. Brown has more boom. He's been the one scoring the touchdowns. Go get him as kind of that bye week fill in weekly. I need a guy, high bench player.
This feels weird to say, but they've been the sexier version of Lockett and Marshall in Seattle.
They really have been.
Oh my God, that's weird to say.
But they have
and weird to think about, but it's completely true. It is.
It's true, but Crabtree's the one that got the hype because of what he did in Oakland 2 years ago, and John Brown has had a rough 2 seasons, so people aren't talking about him yet, so go grab him for nothing.
Yeah.
Go grab him as a throwing piece.
Yeah, for those of you with longer memories, John Brown was once a very, very coveted dynasty asset at one point. He was predicted to be the next big thing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
as little as he is.
For my last buy, I've got Corey Davis, who is number 2 in air target yard percentage, has 20 targets through 2 games, and just had to deal with Blaine Gabbert tossing him the football for an entire game. So after 60 minutes of Blaine Gabbert, he should get Mariota back this week. Mariota did practice in full on Wednesday, so it sounds like he is finally going to be good to go. I think this might be your last chance to grab Davis before he starts to pop off with some blow-up games. They get Jaguars here this week, so you might have one more week to stall this one out before you have to worry about it. But I'm guessing that once they get to some of their easier matchups in week 4 and on, I do like Corey Davis a lot as a buy.
More on that Corey Davis matchup later.
Things we say a lot.
All right. Sells.
Who are we starting with?
Dan?
You give me a look.
We'll keep it
That was awkward.
I was like, what are you looking at me like that for?
we'll keep it in order. Dan, you seem to be hammering down on the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, so I piggyback off of the buy-in on Coleman and the sell Freeman. Look, you should never really want to sell players that are banged up or hurt. Redraft's a little bit different. I think for this one, you want to get out there while the name value is still high. As I said earlier, it's the re-injury concerns. It's the in and out of the lineup concerns, potential chances of missing more games. And the fact that Coleman has just continued to look good when he gets the majority of the work, which could end up leading to more opportunities as the season goes along. Try to sell him to an owner that may think he's buying low on Freeman, or just try to get as much value for him as you can while his stock still has some name to it.
Agreed.
All right. And Hopper, you decided to go ahead and sell an obvious name.
Yeah, I went with the most obvious thing. I was surprised coming in last to fill these out. This was still
I left
available.
him for it. I was like, I'm not.
I thought
I gotta leave him one easy one.
Yeah,
It's not fair to him.
I did need the easy one because the other two are quite hard to come up with. Josh Gordon, the hype train is through the roof on him in New England. But as I mentioned earlier in the show, wide receivers that change teams mid-year, late in training camp, normally don't take off in that first year. Kelvin Benjamin did this last year and fell flat on his face. Jordan Matthews did this, didn't work out. Sammy Watkins, same thing, going to the Rams. I think it's happened to him. No, it's only been once, but still, you get it. the talent with Josh Gordon is undeniable. The connection with Brady and Gordon is an easy one to salivate over, but history is against him. He's played 5 games in the last 5 years. Or
6, because he played opening week.
Yeah, sorry. 6. So, yes, he flashed last year when he got back, but he's going to have to integrate. He's going to have to earn it. He's going to have to fly the straight and narrow, and the value on him is not going to get any higher. So, bail. You took him as a 4th-round pick. Bail on somebody that's high on him and get somebody you should have really taken as a 4th-round pick, because the payoffs for this aren't going to be immediate.
Yeah, and something to just keep a note on. The reason that they likely made the trade to go get him is because he's a restricted free agent and because they can keep him under contract next year. So he's interesting as a dynasty play. I hate him as a redraft play.
Yes, as a redraft play, this is not good.
All right. My sell is a guy that I own in a few places, so this hurts to say, but Jay Ajayi.
Yep.
He's currently the running back 14, but that's mostly been off the 3 touchdowns he scored so far. He's got 1 target in the passing game, so he's not being used as a pass catcher to insulate his floor for those games he doesn't score you touchdowns. This is pointing to a massive boom-bust profile for a guy that already has dealt with a foot injury and a back injury, and we are on week 3. It's a bad combo. If anyone actually views him as a high-end running back 2 type player, which he's currently at running back 14, I would ship him off for that value and try to get something else that's a little bit more interesting. Maybe you can go throw Ajayi and something together and go get yourself Kareem Hunt or Dalvin Cook.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I love Corey Clement.
All right, Dan, this one should be interesting.
This one's obvious. Kind of. With all the reports coming out on Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, to me, is still a sell. That's mainly because of the history. When DeAngelo Williams was the backup in 2015 and 16, he averaged 3.6 touches per game with Bell as the RB1. Now, Bell missed a lot of time during, per suspensions and injuries, but when Bell came back, Williams was completely ineffective. When Williams was the starter, though, he was the RB1. So it's the same scenario as we see. Now, with reports out there that may conflict with this, sure, you can maybe hold on to him a little bit longer and gain that value. But I'm still on the ship that when Bell returns, he becomes the RB1.
When Bell returns, Connor is not worth anything, but it's a matter of do you ride it and bank wins while you can.
So if you can,
it's even hard to say bank wins because I don't know if he won you a week last week, but you're right. He still scored.
He still was a top 10 finish.
He's a valuable piece, yeah.
Yeah, no. I get that.
It was an ugly week for running backs last week, so he still finishes like number 7.
I mean, it's a bonus, right? Because James Conner's a guy you took a last round flyer on if you drafted him
or grabbed him off waivers.
Or you snagged him off waivers and he's a startable piece until Bell gets back. But I agree, he's a sell. The problem here is win.
And how high do you go? We've seen him in leagues where he's been sold for cheap. As we've seen early, in our own leagues that we've seen this.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp was not.
Yes, it's not worth it. But we're talking about guys like Dalvin Cook and and Kareem Hunt. I'm pretty sure you guys, or even David Johnson, who's struggled to start off the year. If you can get yourself a combo piece with James Conner, why not? Why not? Because as we just said, if Bell comes back and plays, Conner's dead.
Yeah, he's probably a running back 1 until Bell comes back. So if you can sell him, you got to be getting at least close to running back 1 value to get rid of him. Otherwise, I would probably just ride him out.
Yeah, high 2 at least.
Well, I'm not saying I'm selling for peanuts, but he's still a valuable
The value is as high on him as it's going to be this year.
Yep.
I get where you're coming from completely.
Yep. All right, Hopper, also another potential sell high candidate.
Yep, this is definitely a sell high candidate, although maybe wait until after this week.
And maybe.
So, again, I had the highest degree of difficulty
here.
I know. Philip Lindsay, the hype's mounting on him. He's still seeing split work and split carries, though. It's a hot hand approach, so if there's a game where Philip Lindsay is, not doing it, and Royce Freeman comes out and has a good game, this is immediately going to flip your script. People are going to believe in Royce Freeman longer. He had a much higher draft capital coming in. You likely spit more on him, on Royce that is. So you're going to be willing to write Lindsay off a lot quicker than you are Freeman. And if Freeman gives you some reason to hope, his value is going to stay higher and Lindsay's is going to tank. Denver has Baltimore, Kansas City, the Jets, the Rams coming up, none of which are great running back matchups.
Kansas City's an amazing one.
Kansas City,
it's good for pass catchers. With Lindsay, but still,
he only had 1 target last week, so you got to keep an eye on that because it's not great for runners.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
I'll get to them in a little bit too.
yeah, it's not great for runners. It's good for pass catchers. And a 53-yarder last week made him a lot more sexy than he would have been. If it wasn't for that 53-yarder, he's a high-efficiency guy with 10 touches. And so at 4.2 yards a carry. So I'm not big on subtracting plays because he can do that anytime he touches the ball, it looks like. But just saying, you're still banking on 10 to 12 carries. This is a guy in the Crowell range. He's getting the hype. If you're going to sell on him, you can probably sell him and get something a little bit more reliable in return, not something that's kind of volatile at the moment.
Yeah, he should be valued similar to like Austin Eckler is. If you can get significantly more than that, I agree he's a sell.
Yep. And maybe it only takes one other week. Maybe you got somebody that's super high on him because of what he's done the first couple weeks. But, his value is probably going to plateau here soon.
And his body can't take the punishment that he's been getting too.
It's going to say
these like
carries,
17 touches. He's 190.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why it's volatile.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to do something that's probably real dangerous, and I'm going to assume that the Browns coaches make the right decisions. And I'm going to recommend you sell Carlos
They
Hyde.
fucking should because there's a better running back on the roster.
He's currently the running back 20, but he's done that on 2.8 yards per carry and basically salvaged his spot with a short goal line touchdown both weeks. The volume has been there, but in the limited touches, Chubb has looked like the better running back, and they've said that they need to get Duke Johnson the ball more. Both the things which point for less touches for Hyde. So if the volume goes down for him, he's screwed because he's been totally inefficient. He's looked awful running the football so far this year. So if somebody values him as a mid running back 2, go ahead and sell him, which... Enjoy the.
He's already saying, sell it.
Sell it hard. All right. So, any disagreements on that?
No, I completely agree.
No, just my dynasty team's crying because of it. I need to hold on.
Now, I may be wrong. Maybe the Browns coaches be like, no, Carlos Hyde's our guy, and we're just going to keep giving him
it's still 2.8 yards per carry. Yeah, it's so bad.
Maybe he puts it together.
All
Come
right.
on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Kind of probably a similar feeling here. You Hopper brings up Derrick Henry.
Yeah, he's got 2.9 yards to carry.
Slightly better.
Yay!
Over his first 2 games. No touchdowns, though. Splitting work and being outperformed by Dion Lewis, who is the better back this week against Jacksonville because pass catchers are better than guys trying to jam it up the middle.
Yep. Look for the James White equivalent.
Yep. So, Derrick Henry's a guy that has his fans. He's got his truthers. He's got his people that are going to believe he's going to be good. You find him and you sell him.
Yep.
Because this offense is in disarray right now. It's a bad matchup, and he's not putting it together either. He's doing what he's doing based on, nothing. He's not really doing anything for you.
And do it this week after his horrible matchup in Jacksonville, when I'm sure he'll be talked about being a drop candidate.
Yep, I would either sell it before Jacksonville, or he's probably
he probably
turns into a hold.
Yep.
All right, Dan, you just seem to be going through the greatest hits list here.
I mean, it's fun. I mean, like I said,
more on him.
This was actually tough to do too. So I picked Will Fuller, obviously. And then he's missed 9 games in a short career, so he already has injury not on his side. In the I want to say a few games he's played with Watson, he's amassed 21 receptions. 8 of those has gone for touchdowns. For those counting at home, that's 1 touchdown point per 2.6 receptions, which is absurd. That's going to come crashing down. This is all going to come down on him. Either he's going to get hurt, or the stat regression is going to hit him pretty hard. So sell on him now while people still believe that he can maintain this absurd pace.
Though if you can't sell him for a good price, I would continue starting him because he just he does it until he gets hurt. So.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to probably get some hate on this one, but my sell candidate is Patrick Mahomes.
I agree with you completely.
No, not from me. From the standpoint of his value is insane, right?
Yeah.
His stock
it won't get higher than this.
His stock won't get higher than this.
I play this strictly as you might be able to just go out there and name your price and sell Patrick Mahomes right now. You might be able to go out and land like a top tier receiver that has been good but not great so far this season. You might be able to go get Keenan Allen or Odell Beckham for a quarterback. Now, this is strictly start 1 quarterback leagues.
Yes.
Do not trade him in 2 quarterback leagues.
Or super flex.
Do not trade him if you can play 2 quarterbacks.
In 1 quarterback leagues, they're so devalued that he's not going to go throw 6 touchdowns every week. He's going to be probably a top 6 quarterback, but it doesn't get higher.
Yep. This is just like Watson last year.
Mm-hmm.
Go and find somebody who is willing to pay a premium price for a quarterback and give a wide receiver an elite tight end or an elite running back for him.
Yep.
Maybe you have to do a slight package deal if you throw in somebody else who's not really that significant. But if you can make a deal where you're trading, sure, he's probably a top 3 to 5 quarterback rest of season, and I completely agree with that. But if you can go get an elite asset for it, he's a sell.
Yeah, it's not an indictment on Mahomes. It's really a compliment that his value is high enough to where you can do that. Because,
This is like Michael Vick.
parity in
few years ago.
quarterbacks is not enough to cling on to him.
Yep.
When you can get a better player at a
An elite
quarterback
talent.
or a running back or a wide receiver position.
If you're in a 6-point passing touchdown league, find somebody who saw the 50 points he put up last week with their eyes bulging out of their skull and sell him Mahomes.
He only did it on 26 attempts. Yeah, totally yeah, here. Now give me your David Johnson, your 0-2 starter, and I'm going to feel good about myself.
All right. And with that, time to review some beer.
Beer review.
I should add an addendum, though. If your league is smart and doesn't overvalue quarterbacks, then he's a hold.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of Main Street 4204's Oktoberfest?
Yeah, it's one of the more different Oktoberfest I've had. Usually they're maltier and sweeter, and this is definitely leans more, and it says lager on it instead of the traditional Marzen, which is a type of lager. This definitely leans more towards like a traditional like domestic lager than it does the Marzen you'd expect from the Oktoberfest. It's lighter on the malts than most of them. So it makes it really light bodied, but it still maintains some of that decent, mildly sweet kind of roasted flavor that you're used to.
Yeah, you get the real crisp. It's almost like it's very refreshing on this hot day in the middle of September in Springfield, Illinois.
One more day.
One more day. But yeah, you hit the nail there, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a little bit malt forward, but then it kind of really goes lager at the back end, and
Yeah,
it's very, very, very
it's
drinkable.
definitely not as malt forward as they normally are.
It's probably my favorite Oktoberfest I've had, to be honest.
As
mine.
As a pure Oktoberfest, I actually think I like the Ballast Point one we had last week better. This is probably a better.
I'm not a huge Oktoberfest fan.
That would make sense.
That's why I like this
I
one
am,
the
and it
most.
definitely strays from the traditional for sure, but it's still very good and very easy to drink.
Yeah, and an excellent session beer, which is why we all but one of us cracked two.
I got to work. Otherwise, I would have cracked the last one.
Yep.
All right. Let's hit our weekly starts and sits.
Start 'em, sit 'em.
All right. I will say that when I did my list, I looked at your guys' rankings too, because I'm like, I just want to snipe you two.
That's fine.
Because Dan, yours would have.
I
been
made mine obvious. I said it was going to be mine.
I still
this
got
week.
mostly what I wanted.
Yep.
I'm fine with mine.
You foreshadowed this on Monday's episode. Your start of the week.
Give me the beard. Give me
Conor McGregor.
Conor McGregor himself. Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's your QB1 through these first 2 games of the season, and he did it against teams that were have great secondaries, great defenses, no less. Entering Pittsburgh, who's given up the second most points per game to quarterbacks, entering right now 31.21 in those 2 games. You got to ride Fitzpatrick until the wave crashes.
Yeah, I have him as a top.
We all have him
3 or 4 play.
Yeah,
this
we
week.
all have him pretty fucking high this week.
He's probably going to crash and burn just to.
Oh no, that's
just to mess
fine.
with us.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Olives. He's my 6, I think.
But at this point, it's just like I can't.
Fuck it.
I
Yeah.
can't not. I grabbed him in a league where I dropped Rivers.
I'm starting him over Wilson. Like, fuck it. Like, at this point, yeah.
I've thought about picking him up and streaming him over a couple people.
Yeah, I was. It was a short bench league. I dropped Rivers, picked up Patrick. I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah. Screw it.
So yeah, I 100% agree with that. Hopper, you went with the one of the top performances of his career against the Patriots last week. You picked Blake Bortles.
Blake Bortles is going to show up in this session for me multiple times this year. Not a surprise to anybody.
Yeah, spoilers.
Especially probably over the next couple weeks because his matchups are really good. But he is coming off of his best performance maybe ever, going for 377, 4-1. Tennessee's given up multiple touchdowns in both games this year. They're also employing a bottom third pass defense with statistically the worst cornerback in the league. Their run defense is pretty good. You've got Fournette coming in on a kind of a bum hamstring, which injuries last year really hurt Fournette's productivity, both in yards per carry and his elusiveness could force them into more situations where they have to throw. At minimum, I think Bortles is probably going to get you 220 and 2, which is a good floor for a streamer with more upside than that.
Yep. So interesting Blake Bortles stat I saw today.
Yeah, I love these.
He
love these.
He is the second most efficient yards per carry quarterback in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, behind Vic, isn't it?
Yeah, Vic is number one.
Yeah.
He's in front of Randall fucking Cunningham.
Yep. He's a great.
He's smart.
He gives you floor with his legs. He's almost guaranteed for 30 to 40 yards a week there, which is another 4 points for you on top of whatever he does passing.
Yeah, I knew he was a good running quarterback. I did not know he was the
I knew he was
second
good.
best.
I knew since last year.
I
It's all
highlighted
over
it
the
a couple
place.
times in the offseason, too, that it's him and Russell Wilson right now that are the best dual threat quarterbacks in the league as far as with the arm and the legs.
Yep. The only thing keeping him back is he doesn't get a lot of rushing touchdowns. But
Well,
if he got that, he would
because
be
he's not
elite.
fucking Cam Newton.
Yeah,
vulturing
no,
the
and
goal line.
that's not a slight on Newton.
No, it's not.
Bortles' passing efficiency just tends to be a little bit better than Newton's.
Yeah.
All right. My guy, I'm going to take the guy who is facing the worst pass defense against quarterbacks for 2 weeks, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo getting the Kansas City Chiefs. They're currently giving up an absurd 32.5 points per game to opposing quarterbacks. They force all opponents to go into immediate catch-up mode from the first quarter. Garoppolo's going to have to throw a lot in this game. I've got him as my number 5 quarterback this week. You guys were lower, and you had about, 10-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
He was right around Bortles for me.
Yeah.
I'm predicting this is probably his best fantasy performance of the season, and if you have Garoppolo as one of your 2 quarterbacks right now, this would be when you
I
want to
don't
start
think
him.
Eric Berg's playing, which is very
I
beneficial.
think Barry was supposed to be back this week.
Is he?
Yeah.
Even if he is, I mean, it hurts Kittle, but I don't know
Even
if
if
it
he
hurts
is, it doesn't
Garoppolo.
really matter. No, and if Goodwin could be back this week
Yep.
also. It was a game time decision last week.
If
So.
Goodwin might be back. Garcon looked good last week. They're going to be throwing to Breida out of the running back position. There's going to be lots of passing in this game.
Start your Niners.
I like Garoppolo. I will continue that trend.
Same
Dan?
Tevin Coleman, because this is a shocker. When he's a starter, he's an RB1. In his career over the Saints, he's averaged a touchdown a game against the 5 games against the Saints. He also averages a 4.36 yards per carry in those 5 games. A lot of volume in this game, and I think he's game script proof. You can throw him out there with a lot of confidence.
No,
We talked about him a lot.
Yeah,
already,
left him
so.
and Coleman. He's got a much better matchup this week than he had last week, and he's still produced. So
Yeah.
love him this week. Hopper, you have Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, Kenyon Drake. Oakland was burned for 107 by Lindsey and 130 by Gurley. They're both more the elusive type of back. I know Gurley's elite, but Lindsey not necessarily. Drake was efficient last week. He had yet again 4 targets. He didn't have a ton of volume, but he's ninth to start the season in breakaway runway rate. We know Oakland's defense is not good. They've been shredded for over 100 yards each of these 2 weeks. He's definitely getting more volume than what Gore is. So I like Drake as a kind of mid RB2 this week, which makes him startable, and you probably haven't been starting him the first 2 weeks.
Speak
starts
for
for
yourself.
me.
I've been starting him.
He starts
I
for me.
haven't, but
I have to, though.
Yeah, he's
I
been
don't
a solid
have to.
starter.
Yeah.
I
It's a
do like the
big difference.
matchup, though. I like him definitely more this week than I did the previous 2 when I had to start him.
yes, it is a much better matchup this week.
All right. Continuing with the start against your Chiefs trend, I got Matt Breida going up against those same Kansas City Chiefs.
I like that too.
He's the leading NFL rusher through 2 weeks in terms of yards. He's got 184, higher than anyone else in the league right now.
Everybody predicted that.
And the Chiefs seem to have an issue with pass catching running backs,
That they do.
which
Hey, we mentioned this earlier.
if you're going to pick somebody against the Chiefs, are you going to
be
pick
your
Alfred
best.
Morris or are you going to pick Matt Breida to throw the ball
It's
to?
burrito.
Every time.
So Chiefs are 5th worst in points allowed to opposing backs, but they're very good against rushing backs, which I will get to later.
God, we've been saying that a lot.
We'll
get that, yeah.
We're just teasing a lot in this
Edge
episode.
on your seat.
This is
folks.
the
All right.
procrastination episode. Everything happens later.
Right.
Dan, if you hadn't ranked him higher than me, this would have been my pick.
Kenny Galladay.
I almost did this.
He's your wide receiver 11 through 2 games this season. The volume's there because the Lions can't fucking stop anybody. I have no running game to speak of. He's out-targeted and out-produced Marvin Jones these first 2 weeks, and he is your new number 1 outside receiver in Detroit. New England's given up 28.4 points per game to receivers these first 2 games.
And that's no shade at Marvin Jones because
No.
he's also still startable.
All 3 of them are
All
are
three
top
of them are
24 for me.
startable,
Yeah,
yes.
they're all top 24 for me. I love them both. They're all 3.
All right, Hopper.
This is not the first 2 are very me picks. This is definitely not a very me pick.
No shit.
Will Fuller. He had a huge game last week. He's now got touchdowns in his last 5 starts with Watson. He's got over 50 yards in 4 of 5. He's going to draw Eli Apple because I expect Janoris Jenkins is going to shadow DeAndre Hopkins around
And that's
the field.
if Eli Apple even plays.
That's if Apple even plays. So this is a dream matchup for Will Fuller. as far as the coverage goes, the Giants' pass rush isn't necessarily fearsome, even though the Texans' offensive line's bad. And with his productivity with Watson, you can run him out as a wide receiver too.
Okay.
With one upside.
So basically, Dan says he's a sell, but after this week.
Yes.
He's a sell. I'm just saying, like, he's going to give you these ridiculous weeks. It's just someone's going to give. He's going to get hurt, or the regression hammer is going to finally show up.
No, but the value is going to
But
be.
the value will
but it could
always
go
be
up
there.
more this week.
Yeah, it could.
Yeah.
This is fucking stupid. 8 touchdowns and 21 receptions with Watson.
All
It's
right.
fucking nuts.
This is a guy I was higher than on both of you on, which surprised the hell out of me. So I'm like, I'm taking him as my start of the week. Then this will be my only chance all
That's
season.
fine.
Nelson Aguilar, I've got as my number 15 wide receiver this
I think
week.
it was like 17 for me. You weren't much higher than
No,
me.
it wasn't by much, but I was higher.
We're
so
all
I
on
took
mid
him.
to low twos on him.
He's currently tied for 8th in the NFL with targets with 22 through 2 games. He gets a suspect Colts defense, and Carson Wentz is back. Who the hell else is he going to throw to at this point? It's Kamar Aiken or Ertz, who's already going to get 10 targets.
That's right.
Aguilar's in line for 10-plus targets in this game. He's probably going to score a touchdown with Wentz back. Fire him up in week
If you
3.
don't start him, you're doing something wrong, or you're playing in too shallow of a league.
Yeah, if that little evidence is not enough for you to start him, I don't know how I could actually sell you on it.
Yep.
All right. Tight ends is always a tough one. Dan, are you worried about Eric Berry with your George Kittle pick?
Maybe, but there's so much volume in this game, and the fact that the Chiefs have been they've been destroyed by tight ends. I know without Eric Berry, 14.05 points per game those last 2 games. Jesse James and Vance McDonald went to mostly Jesse James, 8 for 164 and a touchdown on 10 targets against them last week. There's so much volume in this. It may not matter if Eric Berry is back because Garoppolo will find ways to make sure his best pass catchers get the football, and I think Kittle has a bounce back game.
I agree with that.
Speaking of Jesse James.
Speaking of Jesse James.
My start of the week is Jesse James. He had 5 targets and over 60 yards the first 2 weeks. 6 of 10 tight ends when given 5 or more targets. Had startable days against Tampa last season. With the role Fitzpatrick's been going on, I expect Pittsburgh's going to have to throw again. That means that Juju, Brown, and Jesse James are all going to be involved. He's been the third fiddle in the passing game, while Justin James Hunter and
James Washington.
And James Washington.
Or Hunter, same fucking
James
difference.
Justin Washington. Justin James Hunter and James Justin Washington have been alternating the 3 spots. So if you're in need of a stream tight end, Johnny Smith not looking good this week, Ian Thomas not looking good this week. It's a mess outside of the top 7 probably.
That might be
3
stretching
almost.
it too much.
Yeah, that might
3.
even be stretching it too much. So I like Jesse James this week. Austin Hooper was an honorable mention here for me also.
You know who the tight end 1 is for these first 2 weeks? Jesse James.
Jesse James. I believe Kelsey is like a point behind him.
Doesn't matter. Jesse James hasn't done it yet.
All right. And for my start of the week, I am chasing targets. David Njoku. He's currently
Chasing targets.
He's currently 5th in the NFL with targets with 14, but he has not managed to produce with it. You got a banged up Jarvis Landry. They're playing on Thursday night. The Jets have played nobody at tight end so far, so I'm not even going to look at their tight end metrics. I think the most interesting tight end they played was
AJ Derby.
it was AJ Derby.
AJ
yes.
He scored a touchdown on him last week.
He did score a touchdown. That's all the tight end production they've given up.
Njoku.
So at this point,
Nah, Joku.
if he's going to continue getting 7 targets a game, the production is going to be there. At this point, with how some of the bad matchups tight ends are getting and no one else really being available,
You got to chase
why
touchdowns.
Why not David Njoku?
For tight ends, you chase touchdowns if you don't have Gronk, Kelsey, Ertz.
All right. Let's get our sit of the week. Dan, you're basically preaching to the choir because I dropped him in a few places.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying he had to be on this list. This is Phillip Rivers. He gets to play against the Rams. Speaking of not playing against anybody at all for quarterback, he's seen Sam Bradford and Derek Carr. Now, this is still a very, very stacked defense, especially up front, especially in the secondary. There are far much better options for you to stream this week. You don't have to drop him like Nick has, but that's because he plays in shallow bench league. That's different. You can hold on to him, but you're not playing him this week.
I play in a shallow bench league.
A shallow
The
bench
majority
league.
of my leagues
We
are
try to
are
avoid
very
those.
deep.
We try to avoid those.
We do.
You can leave Rivers on the bench.
All right. Hopper, you're indicating that my buy may be a better buy on Monday.
Yeah, Corey Davis. QB situation, they've got Jacksonville this week. I really can probably just leave it at that. But the quarterback situation's a mess. Jalen Ramsey's a terrible matchup for him. Brown, Beckham, Hopkins are the only wide receiver ones in the last year plus that have had relevant days against Jalen Ramsey. and the pass rush against that O-line that's missing 3 tackles. This is not a good Tennessee Titans offense not named Deion Lewis start week. So Corey Davis, you probably have better options.
Yeah, I expect him to get volume, but it's going to be real ugly volume.
It's going to be ugly volume.
It might be a PPR day.
So,
if you're
like
lucky.
Nelson Aguilar week 1. Think that.
So, Sean, if you
I would take that though.
if you have not sold Corey Davis by Monday, I might make you an offer then. All right, my sit of the week is going to be Alfred Morris. I'm actually taking somebody you should not start in this Kansas City Chiefs game. People have scored a lot on the Kansas City Chiefs, but it has not been on the ground. They've only given up 123 yards total rushing, which is bottom 10 in the NFL.
Because game script.
And people are just not running against them. Only 30 rushing attempts total. So unless you expect Alfred Morris to suddenly become a dynamic pass-catching back, he's probably not going to get a lot of volume.
More
in this
likely
game.
because Patrick Mahomes is throwing his his 4th passing touchdown in the first quarter, and you really can't run the football anymore.
Why wouldn't you expect him to be a dynamic pass catching back?
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I'm just delusional.
I think those 21 receptions as a career high in the season probably shows that.
So start Breida and no Morris this week, and watch. They're going to flip the script, and Morris will put up 30. All right.
Thanks.
I didn't look at last week's, but
All right, Hopper, you get to preview Thursday night as well.
Weekly preview.
Jets Browns on a Thursday night. This has the potential to be really ugly or be better than you thought.
It's gonna be like week 2.
It might be a decent defensive game.
I think it will be. Starting with the Jets, Darnold. Browns kept Breeze mostly in check. Darnold's a rookie. Just stay back from him for now. Crowell and Powell, which I just realized their names in the same way.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've already made that joke this year.
I didn't know. I just looked at it on paper and I'm like,
Yeah.
huh.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the Owls, Owl squared.
yes.
The Owls.
The Jets Owls.
The Jet Owls. Both
Anyways,
both are worthy of flex consideration. Browns are weakest against pass catching backs, dealing 50+ yards both weeks this season. So the edge here does go to Bilal Powell, but I think you could make a case for Crowell as well. So they're both flexible. Quincy Enunwa is the only wide receiver I'm considering started. He's going to have the targets to be a back end kind of 2-3 type. I don't expect anybody to have a blow up week. Everyone else I'm going to hold off on, but I am paying close attention to Terrell Pryor after what he did last week. I want to see his target volume. Not saying he won't have a fantasy relevant day like he did last week, but I want to see it again.
Yep. Not quite trusting yet.
Yeah, I don't trust it yet. So Enunwa's the only one I'm starting. Robbie Anderson was 3rd in the pecking order. He's got to show me he can be more than that. Tight end situation to stay away from this. It's going to be the rookie Herndon for now with no Neil Sterling. So we liked Herndon on tape, but he is a rookie tight end. As you've seen with Johnny Smith, Ian Thomas, them getting thrown into the fire doesn't always work out.
Yeah, and he was more of a developmental
he's more their blocking, tight end
blocking
too.
type.
Yes.
Who showed a lot with what he could do as a pass catcher, but that wasn't his role in college. And then the defense, it's the Browns. If you need a low end stream, you can, or a low to or a mid stream, you can start them. I think that they're going to be.
Yeah, I've got him top 12.
Yeah,
I think
I've got him just out of it.
I think we're all pretty close.
Yeah, I think I was 14 or 15 on them.
Yeah, we're all in the 10 to 15 range on the Jets. They are startable.
They're startable. I think the Browns are more startable though on defense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think they're top 5 for almost all of us.
Yeah, I ran out of names after the top 4.
Jets is our 9. Nick is the lowest at 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, for the Browns, Tyrod and Catanzaro, just stay away from that. Or not Catanzaro. Who the hell's the Jets kicker?
Jason Myers?
Yeah,
Myers.
So I forgot Catanzaro's in wherever, Tampa.
I almost said Jason Moore, but that's not their kicker.
He could be.
He left the studio.
For the Browns, Tyrod Taylor, Stafford was picked off 4 times by the Jets in week 1. Tannehill held under 200 yards. Tyrod's completing just 52.9% of his passes. He does give you some rushing floor and a touchdown, but he's mid-teens for me this week. So there's just better quarterback matchups, I think.
I agree.
Agreed. Just the over-under is super low this week.
We're all
compared to
low.
every other game.
I don't want it. As far as Hyde, Johnson, Chubb, I want to see Johnson get used a bit more before I run him out there. Hyde's worthy of flex consideration. That's just because the volume. He's gotten the goal line work and whatnot, so you can pump him in for that. Drake was okay against the Jets, and the Lions did nothing against them, so I don't really know what their run defense is yet. So, I mean, it's hide for now, and then watch it.
We have breaking news.
Breaking news.
Antonio Brown will be benched for Week 3 against Tampa Bay.
Holy so my start of the week is Juju Smith. My start of the week is Juju Smith-Schuster.
And James Washington's
And
pick him up
James
immediately.
Washington.
I finally get to do this and actually mean something. I feel proud of.
Wow.
Holy shit.
He got disciplined for
Finish
missing
your
practice
preview and
Monday.
then finish your preview and then we're going to discuss this.
Okay. Go
Okay.
ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I'll be quick about this. For the wide receivers, Galladay, Tate, Jones all had decent days, even though Stafford was picked off 4 times from a yardage standpoint against the Jets in week 1. The Dolphins kind of fell flat. Starting Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, if you have to. I'm not saying go run out there with him, though.
Yeah.
Nick, you already talked about David Njoku. That's already been explained. I'm not going to go more into that. And for the defense, they've scored 10-plus points in the first 2 weeks.
They're a top 5 defense.
You're starting them, and I still have no idea who Greg Joseph is.
Yep. Could be good. Could be terrible. All right.
More important news.
So we have no Antonio Brown. I already didn't like it.
Hold on.
Yes.
News. I'll make a breaking news drop.
Breaking news.
We're overdue. Okay, go.
I know.
Breaking news. All right. So Antonio Brown is not playing. So I'm assuming Juju Smith-Schuster jumps up to top 5.
Oh, Juju
He might be
Smith-Schuster
top
is absolutely
3.
top 5.
He might be top 3.
So yeah, I got to redo some rankings because Antonio Brown has been number 1 receiver this week.
Yeah. I got to redo some lineups, too.
So yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster jumps up from. He was already borderline wide receiver 1 this week.
Yep.
He's
I'm going to
gonna
be
go from
starting Godwin a couple places because of this.
there. And then
I'm fine.
James Washington has to be at least.
Well,
He's
that-
a
that-
wide-
he
he's a
showed
wide
up
receiver
week 2.
3.
He showed up week 2.
He's got to be because somebody's going to get volume. That Jesse James start of the week.
Yeah, that looks
That just
that could be
went
a lot
way
better.
higher.
Who told you ahead of time?
That just got
For those
way
wondering
better.
why he's getting benched, it's because he missed a practice on Monday, and him and Tomlin, got together. They worked their shit out, but he's still disciplining them.
Yep.
That's why.
I knew he was going to discipline him. I didn't expect him to bench him for a
Well,
game.
I'm reading on because the news on Roto World doesn't say he's benched. It says Brown's being disciplined. I'm like, what the fuck does that? I don't care. And then bench for week 3.
And this is an 0-1-1 Steelers team. If they lose this game, they're in some trouble.
Wait.
Yep. It's a bad defense. What?
There's
What?
there's no indication that he could be benched. I just said I saw a bench and I freaked out.
Oh,
Yes.
What?
so he's not actually benched. Did we just do an entire 10-minute freak out over
Yeah,
nothing?
we did.
So wait and find out what the punishment is, I guess.
There's been no indication. I completely skipped over that part because I saw bench. He will be. I just saw AB will be benched for week 3. I didn't see there'll be indication.
Do we need to talk about reading comprehension?
All right,
Or did you just learn-
apparently.
Or did you just learn?
I gotta go to work.
All right. So Dan's got to go to work and apparently take some English classes.
How to read.
We're done.
So
We're done here.
ignore the last 10 minutes. Antonio Brown is not going to be benched.
I won't edit it out. We don't know yet. They'll be disciplined. We
All
don't
right.
know what discipline means.
We have no indication Antonio Brown will be benched.
Okay.
Still start Juju Smith-Schuster. Jesse James still a fine start. Do not start James Washington. Cool.
All right, we just reset everything.
We are Beerfield Fantasy Football. Follow us at Beerfield FF. Do not follow Dan Thury for breaking news at Thury BFF.
I don't do breaking news.
I'm at Hot BFF. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
We'll catch you guys next time.
What the hell? I blame you. It's your fault for not reading. You're not going to be in charge of news if you can't read.
Damn it! I was so excited.
Premature enunciation.
I was going to do a shout out to, we lost it with the fucking